you talk to other people, they're just amazing. They're like, yo, we never heard of it. Like, yo, it doesn't happen. Yo, that's what they say. Like, the feedback is, this is once in a lifetime. This is the deals that y'all negotiate. So what I'm saying is, I'm sitting there saying we're in a marketplace, and not necessarily this show, talking about other business that me and Mase does. Mase is a great negotiator. So sometimes I do be like, murder, we gonna miss out because I get pushing the envelope, but sometimes they gonna push it. You know how you slide something under the door and niggas slide it right back? that's sometimes what I'm scared of. When you slide the note under the door and niggas read it and slide it right back. That's what I'm saying. But as far as you saying, yo, niggas done got hundreds of millions, man.
200, 300.
500, a billion. You had a 400-year head start on us. Not only that, killing us along the way, then segregation along the way, then got the civil rights movement, the Jim Crow, it goes on. Not only that, and no disrespect.
I'm not laughing about it. It's funny hearing you talk about
not only, because I know I don't really get it. It's the facts. Look, I know what I'm doing when I'm doing what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing now. You want to sit down and get disappointed? Yo, not only that, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Not only that, right? And I'm very, very happy for all my Native
America hasn't always done so. If there were a bunch of Cooper flags running around, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Dirk is from Germany. I'm talking about white American born. That's a rarity in terms of superstar status in the US for the sport of basketball. And then Katie had a comment as well that we'll get to next. He said it would rather not rely on the brothers when speaking of the NBA. And even though you market NBA players who are brothers, it's because you have no choice. Maurice, what do you think of this take from Stephen A. Smith? Do you agree with that or not?
Yeah, I was surprised to hear him when he said it, but I would believe him. I think it's true. And I think it comes down to people are asking, who's the end consumer of most of these games? And who are you trying to sell your products to? And they try to find people that can relate to those end users or the people who are spending sponsorship dollars. And so I think that's why they open it up to make it an international game and to create space for more white players. But black players seem to dominate. And but these are the conversations. Like I know I heard y'all yesterday when they said they come to the show because we tell the truth. These are some of the conversations that I think that are uncomfortable for people to have, but they need to be had because like it almost opens up a box or forces you to have a conversation that people think about, but you don't necessarily say because you end up thinking that you have something to lose or you'll jeopardize your brand. But Stephen A., he's paused. He's big enough and solidified enough within the media space to at least have the conversation along with KD.
I think this is pretty interesting, Mo. When you talk about what this topic is really spearheading and what's at the root of this conversation, I think after hundreds of millions, but it's amazing how after hundreds of millions, people still feel slighted. Like, how much is enough before you feel like you're equal, right? This is just something I'm hearing like in the undertone. You got people making 200 million, 100 million, right? Before it used to be you don't get an opportunity. Now you get an opportunity. You still don't feel like you belong. I think what you're really missing, a white guy can't give you. I'm just going to be honest with you. Pause. I talked about this before. The real ingredient that's missing from people is God, and people that got that you don't hear them arguing that. Like, and this is real interesting that we say this, but when you're constantly distracted and constantly, divided in your thoughts, I could see how people would think that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like even yesterday I said something about, commentators and things of that sort, using their platform to really, own in and take advantage of different people. And I know there's people trying to make a big deal out of something between me and Charlamagne. I have no problems with Charlamagne. I think when it comes to like podcasting or just expressing my views, I'm just trying to give great narrative and great objective views to everything that's going on. And I just thought that was something to add the other day, but me and Charlamagne doesn't have any issues. Shout out to Charlamagne, shout out to Envy, shout out to Poetic Flacco. Let's keep this show going. Let's keep it clean.
So what was your actual take on this, Mase?
That after all this money, I don't see how that's still a conversation.
For who?
For black guys, black athletes.
Niggas got a 400-year head start, murder. Yo, bro, come on, my nigga. Like, that's why I just want to be clear on what you're saying. Like, yo, you want to say, yo, we gave you niggas hundreds of millions of dollars. What else do you want?
It's not like I'm white. I'm just saying that at some point.
I know, as a black man, you saying that.
You don't let me hold a pass over your head. You like, yo, come on, murder. We done made 8 figures now.
What you talking? No.
Yeah, you was like niggas have made 8 figures a few times.
No, I'm saying that. But
come on, how long you gonna use the pass over us?
No, because what I'm saying is this: when the deals that you actually negotiated for us, when you talk to other people, they're just amazing. They're like, yo, we never heard of it. Like, yo, it doesn't happen. Yo, that's what they say. Like the feedback is, this is once in a lifetime. This is the deals that y'all negotiate. So what I'm saying is, I'm sitting there saying we're in a marketplace, and not necessarily this show, talking about other business that me and Mase does. Mase is a great negotiator. So sometimes I do be like, murder, we gonna miss out because I get pushing the envelope, but sometimes they gonna push it. You know how you slide something under the door and niggas slide it right back? that's sometimes what I'm scared of. When he slide the note under the door and niggas read it and slide it right back. That's what I'm saying. But as far as you saying, yo, niggas done got hundreds of millions, man.
200, 300.
500, $1 billion. You had a 400-year head start on us. Not only that, killing us along the way, then segregation along the way, then got the civil rights movement, the Jim Crow, yo, it goes on. Not only that, and no disrespect.
I'm not laughing about it. It's just funny hearing you talk about
not only, because I know I don't really get it. It's the facts. Look, I know what I'm doing when I'm doing what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing now. You want to sit down and get disciplined. Yo, not only that, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is why I act. So not only that, right? And I'm very, very happy for all my Native Americans. But they get paid. Some of them. I ain't gonna say all of them. You know, they got land. They get paid for some of the casinos, not just in Nevada and Florida. Seminole. Fuck. Sorry, Mo. I picked my earphone in after this take, Mo. But yeah, they're trying to get some of it back. And as they should. We ain't getting nothing. You know, it was a big thing, murder, when niggas was like, yo, Cam Wildin in Black History Month talking about white girls giving head as reparations. And I was like,
yeah, that was wild.
But take what you can get. You know, what do you get? yo, my nigga. Yo, my nigga. What else are you act like they about to be former Packers and be like, yo, you know what? We figured it out, y'all. We did bring y'all niggas over here. We did ask y'all to help build the country. We did kill y'all niggas along the way. Then we say, you know what? We gave y'all freedom. Y'all not happy with that? Now y'all want to use our bathrooms and come in our restaurants and eat where we eat. Okay, cool. Fine. We'll let you use our bathrooms. Let you motherfuckers eat where we eat. But now you want to go to school with us? Now y'all niggas want to go to learn what we learn? Nah, murder. I'm not gonna disagree with you on niggas got 300 million. Just shut up. Now, I'm happy with 300 million. I'm not saying I'm not. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yo, That should call it even, right? We should call it even with that. I'm not gonna jack that. But back to the original conversation. Look, I've been saying this for years, yo. This ain't not, to me, this is not new. They're just throwing the European players or overseas players in it or white players that are not from America. It is no secret that we have not had a bona fide superstar from America since Larry Bird. I've been saying this year after year after year after year. And I like Cooper Flag, but he ain't no damn Larry Bird, not yet. And I don't know if he will be. Like, people forget because we seen the likes of LeBron James, we seen the likes of Kevin Durant, that we forget Larry Bird's is a three, small forward. And outside of Kevin Durant and LeBron James, you had several black small forwards from Dr. J on down.
Yeah.
Larry Bird was some other nigga, and I know they marketed him against Magic Johnson to help save the NBA. Then Michael Jordan came along, and the Bad Boys, the Pistons, they're doing a lot of great marketing. But he was not overhyped a little bit. He was not overhyped, bro.
Yeah.
Some niggas, they try to force it on you. Pause. No, this was not being forced on black people or the NBA or people watching the NBA. This nigga was the one.
Yeah.
It's sad that he got hurt earlier than he should have got hurt, but no, they did not force him on America or people watching the NBA. They try to do it now, right? And not just with white players, with black players too. Is this the face of the league? Is he gonna be the face of the league? This person's gonna be the face of the league. Yada, 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 yada. And it's like, yo, the fans will tell you who's the face of the league whenever they figure it out. When you give us somebody that make niggas say, nah, he's the one, then he'll be the one. And I think championships sometimes are involved in that. And the people that we're talking about possibly being the face of the league may not have a championship yet. Or you may have somebody like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who does have a championship, and they be like, damn, but he's not American. But not only that, he's not white.
Mm-hmm.
Then not only that, his name may be hard to pronounce. I've seen some shit before, and I'm not saying it's right, wrong, and indifferent. I'm just saying I've seen people saying how Giannis doesn't get a lot of sponsors all the time. I'm pretty sure he has great sponsorship because of the pronunciation of his name. And they were doing a whole 30-minute special about that, or just different people with hard names to pronounce in America. But as far as this topic is concerned, I agree with KD and I agree with Stephen A. Smith. This is not nothing new when it comes to trying to find a white American. Now, we're not sitting here talking about Luka. We're not talking about the Joker. We're not talking about Dirk Nowitzki. We're not talking about Marshall Lonis. We're not talking about Detlef Schrempf. We're not talking about the list of all these other players that were white from overseas that came and bust ass over here. Drazen Petrovic. I could name a dozen, if not more. But back to what KD said, if you could, you could. You don't have a choice on exactly. You don't have a choice. Pardon me. If you did have a choice, it wouldn't be people of color. You'd market the white person because, let me tell you something. Them $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 seats around the courtside. If it ain't family and friends, most of the time it's white people buying them seats. Unless you're an E40 or shout out to my nigga Spike Lee. Unless you're those type of fans, when you see the black niggas around there.
Or Bootsy.
Right. And what's the name?
And 2 Chainz.
Yeah, but just to let you know, Grant Hill told me to let you know when you want to go, you could go. He part owner of the team.
Okay.
So I'm not, shout out to Bootsy, 2 Chainz, everybody go to Atlanta, but when you want to go, let me know. I didn't know if you was interested. Shout out to my nigga Grant Hill. You go, Murder, when you want to go, you let me know. So you could be a part of that.
Great take. And then I do want to clear up comps and stuff like that, because you guys all had pretty much different takes. There were some similarities, but I think you guys don't agree on that. Mace, did you want to kind of reiterate some things before I go to Katie's comment?
I agree. I agree to some degree. I'm just saying because this opportunity means that much. I'm more so thinking about what people do with the opportunity, right? If the opportunity mean that much, then do better by the opportunity. Is what I'm pretty much echoing.
So trying to think. Because to me, it sounds like this money's being paid to you be grateful, or is that not what you're saying?
No, I'm saying the money. I'm saying how much do a person owe you, right? If these people down here are living from the aspect, and I don't want to say these people like I'm not attached to these people, but I'm trying
Black
to
people?
make a separation. If you got a class of people making 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, they're not in the class with people that are drinking canned milk, right? So that's a total different class of people. You're living the same lifestyle as the people you're arguing with. You're not living a regular life. You're getting on private jets. You're eating the best of the food, right? You got the best trainers. You got the best doctors. Your kids go to the best schools. You live in the best neighborhood. So what you're trying to really echo and stand for, unless your lifestyle is different, you kind of don't get to qualify to speak for that issue, because that's not your issue.
So last question before I move on to the second part of this. So do you think that the path it takes to get to that same level, does it not matter?
Yes, it matters.
It matters?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go on to KD's comments, because that's kind of what stirred the whole thing. So he said, I just don't like the talk around the USA versus European style of how you approach the game. All I hear is AAU is destroying the game. The Euros do it right while the Americans do it wrong. It's a lot of bullshit with that. I can read between the lines on that. It's a shot at Black Americans. We're controlling the sport and they're tired of us controlling the sport. So back to some comments that Stephen A said, Maurice, he basically said, the NBA is marketing Black players because it has no choice. So do you agree with that? Or do you think that Black athletes have consistently been the league's best talent?
Yeah, I guess it says yes to both of them. Blacks have been consistently the best talent. The people who you come and watch the style they play, you come and watch how they dress, what they drive up to the games, our culture, everything about us, it makes us cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like we have a cool culture. The guys who play in the NBA are cool guys. But also, I think KD is right or Stephen A is right. Like, you have no choice. But then he's also right in saying that in order to gain control back, they're trying to say, hey, let's go get assets that we can control. You know, white guys are a little bit more, I don't want to say, I don't have another word, but submissive, but it's easier to control them if you had control of that. And that's exactly what they're saying when they say we can't control AAU basketball. That's just like AAU basketball has been permeated and dominated by young Black coaches, Black agents, and just there's so many Black people in the system that the people who actually control the business and the assets of it all, they have no control over that. So they're probably going to Adam Silver and saying, yo, let's push the game to this international game and say this is best and market that this is best. And if somebody's saying that this is the cool thing and this is the best thing going, then people start to perceive it that way. But KD saying, hey, just because you all have been, just because you've sort of, written our back, pause for the past 15, 20 years, and you see LeBron and KD and Steph leaving out the league and Ant-Man is coming up and you're trying to get away from the Jaws of this world, don't act like we didn't get you all here. So I kind of see that everybody's right, but I also roll with the thought that the man with the gold make the rules. And if you don't own a team, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to live in an environment with the person who makes the rules, which is the owners.
The NBA has never been just about what happens between the lines. It's a cultural force, a billion-dollar business, and in many ways, a reflection of the society that follows it. That's why whenever conversations about race, branding, and who represents the league explode, they go far beyond basketball itself. They become debates about influence, financial power, and the image of America's biggest sports league outside of football. And that's exactly where Mase and Cam found themselves after reacting to comments from Stephen A. Smith and Kevin Durant about whether the NBA is intentionally creating more space for white and international stars to become the league's new faces. So let's break this down. Stephen A. Smith, one of the most influential voices in sports media, made a remark that instantly ignited discussion across social media. He argued that the NBA has historically promoted Black superstars because they have overwhelmingly dominated the sport for generations. On the surface, that sounds like a straightforward observation. But according to Smith, the bigger implication is that whenever comparable opportunities exist, the league and its corporate partners would naturally lean toward marketing white talent if there were enough stars available. Kevin Durant then entered the conversation with a very different frustration, highlighting what he sees as a growing trend in basketball discussions. Specifically, he pushed back against the increasing praise for European player development, while the American AAU system continues to receive criticism. Durant's position was that this debate isn't really centered on coaching methods or basketball philosophy. Instead, he suggested it's often coded language, implying that the American style, built and shaped largely by black players and coaches, is somehow viewed as less valuable than the European model. And when Mase and Cam tackled this topic on their show, they certainly didn't tiptoe around it. Their discussion blended agreement, historical perspective, and sharp disagreements that challenged one another's viewpoints. That's what made the exchange so compelling, because this wasn't simply two hosts echoing the same opinions. It evolved into a serious discussion about economics, representation, and what true influence looks like in an industry that once shut many people out. One of the strongest themes that surfaced was the history of representation within the NBA itself. For decades, the league has been overwhelmingly driven by black athletes, particularly American-born black superstars. Legends like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant have defined entire eras of professional basketball. But here's where things take an interesting turn. When people discuss the last American-born white player who truly reached generational superstardom, Larry Bird is almost always the first name mentioned. Bird's career ended in the early 1990s. That means more than 30 years have passed without another American-born white player consistently reaching that same level of superstardom. Cooper Flagg, the highly anticipated young prospect entering the NBA, is already being viewed by many as someone who could eventually end that drought. But even his biggest believers admit he still has everything to prove. He has elite talent, tremendous expectations, and comparisons to all-time greats, but hype alone has never guaranteed greatness. This is exactly where the marketing debate becomes even more fascinating, because once you step back and examine how the NBA presents itself globally, another pattern begins to emerge. Players like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Victor Wembanyama have become worldwide attractions with enormous popularity and corporate endorsements.
Visibility. No one questions their greatness. Their talent alone would make them stars in virtually any generation. But the conversation isn't questioning their ability. It's questioning how heavily the league emphasizes their personal stories, international backgrounds, and unique journeys compared with equally accomplished American-born black stars. Is that simply the result of promoting incredible talent that deserves global attention? Or is there a larger business strategy behind it? One that expands international audiences while also reaching different demographics at home through carefully targeted marketing? That's a legitimate discussion, and you won't believe how quickly it expands beyond basketball itself. Every major sports league operates like a global corporation. They pursue revenue, sponsorships, television rights, and new international markets above everything else. The NBA has spent years aggressively growing its presence throughout Europe, Asia, and countless other regions. Naturally, having international superstars makes that expansion much easier. At the same time, critics argue this strategy also aligns with a narrative that gradually shifts attention away from black excellence, whether intentional or not. Whether that overlap is simply smart business or something more calculated remains an open debate with no universally accepted answer. Reasonable people continue to land on completely different sides of the issue. Then the conversation on the show took another unexpected turn that deserves careful attention. The disagreement wasn't only directed at the league, it surfaced among the panel themselves. One perspective boiled down to a simple question. Considering the extraordinary wealth accumulated by today's NBA stars, particularly black superstars, when does the discussion about representation begin to feel disconnected from the everyday realities most people experience? If athletes are earning hundreds of millions of dollars, flying on private jets, living in luxury homes, and providing elite opportunities for their families, is it still fair to describe themselves as fighting an uphill battle? This counterargument doesn't deny the existence of historical discrimination. Instead, it asks whether immense wealth fundamentally changes the conversation, or whether financial success and representation remain two separate issues that can exist simultaneously. A player can achieve incredible financial success while still believing the media, league marketing, and public narratives fail to fully recognize the people who helped build the NBA into what it is today. On the other hand, and this point was made passionately during the discussion, money alone cannot erase history. The wealth gap between Black and white Americans developed over centuries, not in a single generation. And it wasn't erased because a relatively small number of athletes became extraordinarily wealthy. Slavery, segregation, redlining, and decades of systemic barriers created advantages and disadvantages that stretched across generations rather than basketball seasons. A few hundred elite NBA players reaching financial greatness simply cannot reverse the larger economic reality faced by millions who never had access to those same opportunities. Just because elite NBA players have accumulated enormous wealth doesn't automatically mean the bigger conversations disappear. The point many people make is that personal financial success doesn't instantly solve larger issues involving equity, media narratives, or the way powerful institutions decide whose stories receive the biggest spotlight. Interestingly, both of those viewpoints surfaced throughout the discussion, and honestly, each side presented arguments that deserve serious thought. It's entirely possible to believe two things at the same time. These athletes have achieved extraordinary financial success, while the media's approach to storytelling and marketing still deserves close examination. Those ideas aren't necessarily contradictory, even if they seem to pull the conversation in completely different directions.
Let's dig deeper into the international side of this debate, because this is where things get even more interesting. Players like Dirk Nowitzki, Dražen Petrovic, Peja Stojakovic, and more recently Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic have removed any doubt that European talent belongs among basketball's elite. No credible basketball fan is arguing those stars haven't earned every bit of their success. That's never really been the issue. The real discussion revolves around presentation, messaging, and how these stories are framed. When European stars are praised, is the conversation strictly about elite fundamentals, basketball IQ, footwork, and polished skill, or does that praise sometimes carry an unspoken criticism of American basketball culture, AAU systems, and the style often associated with Black American players? That's the subtle point Kevin Durant was trying to highlight. His concern wasn't aimed at individual international players, but at a recurring pattern in basketball commentary. A pattern where fundamentally sound quietly becomes shorthand for European basketball, while athletic or flashy begins to suggest something entirely different. And believe it or not, this discussion stretches back decades in sports media. For years, critics have pointed out the tendency to describe Black athletes primarily through natural athletic ability, while praising white or international athletes for intelligence, discipline, and work ethic. This isn't a brand new conversation either. It's a pattern that's been analyzed across multiple sports for years, not just in the NBA. So when those same themes continue appearing in basketball coverage, it makes perfect sense why veterans like Kevin Durant, who have spent their entire careers under the media microscope, are quick to challenge them. But here's where the business side enters once again, because this may be where the biggest questions actually exist. Sponsorships, endorsement contracts, global advertising campaigns. This is where billions of dollars are at stake. There's long been a belief, backed by some research and industry observations, that corporations often feel more comfortable building major campaigns around certain athletes instead of others. And surprisingly, those decisions aren't always based solely on basketball performance. Even something as simple as name pronunciation has entered this discussion, with some arguing that players whose names seem less familiar to American audiences receive fewer marketing opportunities despite dominating on the court. Giannis Antetokounmpo, despite being an MVP and NBA champion, has frequently been mentioned when this topic comes up. So is pronunciation really the obstacle, or does it reveal something much deeper involving familiarity, identity, and consumer comfort? That's another question without a universally accepted answer,
but it's still a conversation worth having if we're being completely honest. At the same time, it's equally important to acknowledge the other side of the argument. Marketing decisions involve countless moving pieces, and they rarely come down to one simple explanation. Brands evaluate worldwide popularity, social media influence, crossover appeal, team success, personality, and countless other business factors before making those investments. Blaming every marketing choice on a single issue, whether race, nationality, or even name recognition, can oversimplify an incredibly complicated business. Sometimes an athlete simply isn't chosen because of timing, injuries, market trends, or off-court headlines, rather than some larger coordinated pattern. The reality probably exists somewhere between both extremes. Multiple factors are almost certainly influencing every decision, and from the outside, it's nearly impossible to measure exactly how much each one matters. So where does all of this leave the conversation? What Mase and Cam discussed, inspired by comments from Stephen A. Smith and Kevin Durant, was never about tearing down European players or dismissing the incredible
international talent that has helped transform the NBA into a worldwide phenomenon. Instead, it was about asking the uncomfortable questions that many people avoid. Why has it been more than 30 years since an American-born white player reached undeniable superstar status? Is that simply the natural outcome of who has dominated basketball, or are there deeper forces influencing how young talent is developed, promoted, and marketed? Why do discussions comparing European and American playing styles sometimes seem to carry implications that extend well beyond basketball itself? And how do we recognize the tremendous financial success achieved by many Black athletes while also taking seriously the larger historical and systemic issues that continue shaping opportunity across America? None of these questions are easy. They certainly weren't easy for Mase and Cam to wrestle with during their discussion, and chances are they won't be comfortable for everyone watching either. But the conversations that challenge people are often the ones that matter most. The NBA was built on generations of extraordinary Black talent. At the same time, it's also aggressively expanding its global reach through international stars who have unquestionably earned every bit of their success. Both realities can exist together. The real conversation isn't about rejecting one side or embracing the other. It's about examining the space between them, the marketing decisions, the media narratives, the subtle messaging, and asking who ultimately benefits, who gets overlooked, and why. At the end of the day, sports have always reflected larger cultural battles, whether fans want to admit it or not. Basketball, perhaps more than any other major sport, has become a stage where race, identity, business, and power collide in front of millions of viewers every single night. That's exactly why conversations like this continue to matter. They're never just about basketball. If this breakdown gave you a different perspective on the business behind the game, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the NBA's marketing direction is simply smart business, or do you think there's a much bigger story unfolding behind the scenes?